Good morning to all of you. This is our second part session on Unit 4 of Analysis of Data, or the sixth step of research process. Now, in the part 1 session of this unit, or step 6, I have already shown you how to prepare a code book and also a master sheet. These two are very important for data entry and data analysis. Now, code book is like a guidebook which gives us instructions as to how data could be entered in a master sheet. Master sheet is the actual place where we enter the raw data which is collected from either online or from the field manually. Now in this class or in this session I am going to show you how to prepare a code book and a master sheet using software. And then before that I want to give you a brief introduction to the software. Then we will learn to install the software with the instructions of download links I have already sent you in the previous mail. I hope by now you would have already downloaded the software and installed it. If you can do it along with me, probably every step you can systematically learn in real time. So let us move forward. To recap the research process, we had already seen 5 steps, and then we had already started with step 6 called analyze and evaluate data. And in step 6, we had learned how to prepare a code book and then a master sheet. And today we are going to see the software for which a software in which we are going to enter the code book and the master sheet. And in order to do so, let's have a quick introduction to the statistical software. As per our standards, as per the curriculum, we are expected to learn using a software called SPSS, which stands for Statistical Package for Social Sciences. It's one of the oldest statistical softwares available in the market, and then it has more than 30-40 years of history. Now, let's have a very quick review on the history of the software. There were three gentlemen, statisticians, who had developed this software way back in the year 1968, and they were Norman Nye, Hadley Hull, and Dale Bent. Now, this package is developed within the University of Chicago for their internal use only. But this software had its limitations. It was ported on Unix operating system, based on which today you have Linux operating system. So, since it was ported on Unix operating system, it was not that popular. But gradually, what they did, they had written a first manual, all these three people, in the year 1970, and this manual had popularized the software called SPSS. Since 1975, the project got separated from the university and got established into a company called SPSS Incorporated. And then subsequently, the first version of this package under Microsoft's DOS operating system was released in the 80s, and then subsequently in the year 1992, it was ported to Windows. And I remember I got introduced to this software in the year 1990 with their version called SPSS PC version 3. Now today you have SPSS for Windows version 26. In the year 2009, SPSS had made a rebranding of its statistical package and they named it as PASW, which stands for Predictive Analytics Software. However, it was only for a short time. On July 29, 2009, this company announced that it was acquired by IBM. So now SPSS is a product of IBM. For the entire Southeast Asia, the office of SPSS is located in Bangalore, in which they also look at the marketing of the software for the entire Southeast Asia, and also they conduct certifications and training programs. That's the brief introduction to this software. Interestingly, For a very short time, they called it PSW, and then subsequent year they reverted to its old name SPSS for Windows. Now, today there are many competitors for this software, and then I'm going to show you a list of alternatives or operating or competing softwares. Now, very competing are SAS, BMDP. I'm not going to elaborate the softwares. That's not the part of our syllabus or the lesson. But any student who is much interested in knowing more about data analytics, big data analytics, data mining, they will be interested in knowing more about these softwares because these are all used in big data analytics. BMDP, very popular in medical research. Epistat, this is used in epidemiology, for example, like how the pandemic like coronavirus is spreading across the world. So they would use softwares like Epistat. Then another competitor is called Systat, MyStat. Statistica is very popular even today. And then of course IBM has its open source software called R for Windows. It's a bit more programming based application. Then we have NCSS. These are some of the competing statistical softwares. And then we also have some open source called OpenStat, which I kept using for quite some time. Then Epimerge is another epidemiological software. Then Stata is also very popular. Visual Stat is also popular. Interestingly, in MS Excel also we have statistical analysis called data analysis package. This is normally not visible on the screen. You just have to go to options to enable data analysis package. Now, of late, we find quite interesting software called DSTK, which I used for some time. Then followed by JASP, I'm still using that. And then PAST, which is for paleontology. That's the software used for application of statistics in paleontology. But today, I'm going to show you one software called PSPP. And then, of course, there are many more softwares, but you might be wondering why PSPP when SPSS is there. So, I'll try to give you a justification or the explanation for that. Let us move on to what is this PSPP called. Very peculiar. Even today, many of us really don't know what is the full form of this software. When you install it, this is the name called PSPPIRE is displayed on the screen. So what does it mean? Really don't know. But originally it was called Fiasco and it was born at the end of the year 1998. Therefore, it's more than 20 years old. Now, this is created as an alternative to SPSS, which is license free, restrictions free, of course, not bug free. There are some bugs, I have already noticed it. It supports all SPSS files, so therefore, we don't have to worry about uh, compatibility of the files. PSPP, of course, there are some people claim these are the names of PSPP, but we are also not sure. Perfect statistics professionally presented, probabilities sometimes present problems. So these are some of the names some people claim, but there is no support for those nomenclatures. Never mind. PSPP is definitely an alternative to SPSS because it is free, number one. You might be wondering why SPSS cannot be installed, cannot be used. SPSS is a commercial software which is very costly, and I don't think as a student you can afford to buy that. Student version would cost you around 50,000 rupees, and then commercial version for an institution like us costs us around 1,50,000 rupees for at least 4 licenses. So if you keep on increasing the number of users, the cost of this application would be increasing. So it runs into 8 lakhs to 12 lakhs. And then I don't think we should be using any pirated cracked versions because piracy means stealing. So why should I steal and then use a software for my academic learning when I can use a compatible software, something very similar to SPSS, even in the command side, even in the application side, even all the features which are there in SPSS are same in PSPP. I would rather use PSPP than SPSS because I can lift up my head and then very boldly I can use rather than steal some software and then install it on my system and then learn it. Stealing is still bad. So therefore, what we need before we install these softwares and then start using it, if you are using MS Office applications much older than 2016, you may have to install one particular file called ODF add-in, that is called Open Document Format add-in. This is to accept the import export of PSPP output file into MS Word. In case if you are using MS Office 16 onwards, you don't need this. Now, when you open PSPP file, this is the features. This is how it looks like. So we'll ignore this and then let's move on to the basics of PSPP or SPSS. First of all, you must know what are the file formats in PSPP. There are quite many number of file formats. For raw data, there would be a file. For instructions, there would be a file. For scripts, there would be a file. For syntax, there would be a file. And for output, there would be a file format. So there will be at least five types of or five formats at least visible to us. As you are preparing your outputs, preparing your inputs, you would find there are at least five formats or file formats you would be witnessing, and then you will be storing them, saving them in your backups. Now, second aspect is SPSS or PSPP would have various window tabs, fixed tabs these are called. So you can always maneuver through these tabs. Tab 1 is called variable view, tab 2 is called data view. So these are the two tabs that we would be, I'll show them all of them after installation. And of course there will be a lot of menu bars, and you are very familiar with the menu bars because you have already used in most of these Windows applications. And menu bars would have drop down menus. So if you're familiarized with all this jargon, we can move ahead. You have to download at least two important things. Number one, two of those files, namely from your online questionnaire in the Google form, you have to download the file, your Excel sheet, in the form of .csv format. Don't download XLS format because PSPP will not import XLS files. Rather, it would import CSV file, comma separated version. So, if your Google form is downloaded as .csv file, it would be easy for PSPP software to import it and then start analyzing it. Then you still have to download PSPP software. I have already sent you the links in the previous mail. Then if you don't have MS Office latest version, you have to download ODF add-in for Office. That's it. So these are the preliminaries and then I'll conclude with it. So now let's move on to the download and installation of the software. I had already shown you in the previous class how to identify the links and then download it. So I'll type simply PSPP because we have already done it in the past. So this is the link. So sourceforge.net is an open source repository of various applications. So here you can go and download PSPP for Windows. So I'm not going to do it because I've already done it. So what we will do, we'll straight go to the downloaded source. So I've created a folder called PSPP and I'll double click it. So here you would find two file formats. One is 32-bit, other one is 64-bit. You have to check out whether your Windows is 32-bit OS or 64-bit OS. Since my Windows operating system is 64-bit OS, I'm going to install the 64-bit version by double clicking on it. Now this is straightforward. Most of you are quite familiar with installation of softwares. So all you have to do is press the default button to install the software. That's it, it's completed. Now you can see the shortcut, desktop shortcut is here. So I'm going to move it so that it will be more visible for us. Now, PSPP, if I double click on this software, you can see how the software gets invoked. So now this is the opening window of PSPP software. Now you can still see here the name of the software called PSPP IRE date. So therefore here I just want you to get familiarized with what are those tabs I was referring to, Windows tabs. By default, it opens variable view window. This is called variable view tab. And then if you move to the side ones, one called data view, if you click it, you would find another window. It's called data view window. Now, what are these two windows? If you go back to my previous session on codebook preparation and master sheet, you would understand them much easier. Now, what is a variable view? Variable view is the name given by the software for codebook. I'm repeating it again. The variable view is actually a codebook, whereas data view is the name given for master sheet. Codebook and master sheet are the quite traditional names, classical names, but softwares have their own freedom to change those. They can put their own names. So therefore, we will see now how to prepare a variable view. In other words, how to prepare a codebook and a data entry, or what we call the master sheet. So by default, PSPP or SPSS would open up variable view. By the way, let me tell you that whatever the menus that you see here are also the same menus that you would find in SPSS. Not only that, when you drop down the menus, these are the menus that you would also see in SPSS. So whatever our syllabus requires, all are there in here in this software. Therefore, I'm going to demonstrate this software. So I hope you had already downloaded this software. Now, before we move on, I just want to let you know that as I told you, there are multiple file formats it generates. But how many windows are there in this software every time when you open it? As I told you, variable view is number one, data view is number two, and by default always an output file is generated, so that we will see how an output file is generated. Now let's move on. There would be a output file separately tagged, so it is not fixed here. So every time you do any work in PSPP, an output file will be generated that you would see on the adjacent to this tab. So let's move on to the variable view. How to prepare this variable view? In order to prepare this window, you have to get back to your codebook, which was manually prepared in the previous class. So I'm going back to my folders. Where is my codebook? I have to get back to my desktop. So probably it is here in finding it here. So let me try search. Yeah, it's in data analysis. Yeah. So let me open my codebook. That's my codebook. You would see the variable list and then information sort, the response pattern and the codes. Now what I'll do, just I will not show the entire preparation because you're already familiar with it. I will only demonstrate how it can be done in SPSS. I'm sorry, PSPP. Now go back to variable view. I'll start with the first one called V1. That is my variable one, which is also there in my code book. So this is called V1. V1 is the occupation. So first I'll enter V1. By default, the type of variable is mentioned called numeric. It keeps changing. You'll have numeric, string and various types, but we'll always take the numeric. Then width. My suggestion is always take a width of 6 and you don't need decimals. Then remove decimals to 0. Then give label called occupation. You can copy it from your code book. Then you can increase the width. Then value labels. This is very important because if you don't enter value labels, your output will not be visible properly. So what are the value labels? The response pattern is actually called the value labels, and these are the values or codes. So let's move on. So what I'll do, value labels, I'll simply click on the cell. This is called a dialog box. Now in the dialog box, it would ask me what are the values. So what is 1 from the code book? 1 is employed, 2 is self-employed. So 1 employed, sorry, employed. Then you have to add it. Then 2 self-employed. That's it. Click OK. Then it is embedded. So the values for this variable is embedded. Now, is there anything called missing value? Missing values are those which are the answers not given by the respondents. So in case if nobody has given answer, if some people have not given answers to this variable, what do you want that variable to be? So as of now I will ignore it. I will not touch on this, and then go to the column which is the physical width space on the computer screen of that given variable called v1. I will reduce that to 6 because I've already mentioned the width of it is here 6, so the column size also 6. So that's it. I'm moving on to alignment. So this is called justification. So I'll ignore that. I don't need to worry about it, but this is more important. Here you know the levels of measurement. So you must know occupation, what type of measurement is it? It is nominal, so I'll just ignore it. I'll enter nominal and then ignore it further. Now, what is the role of this variable? It's called input or output. So I would call it input variable. So I'll dispute, uh, by default, I'll ignore that. Now we move on to variable 2. So again, I'll reduce the width. Decimals would be 0. Then what is my second variable, which is called age in actuals? I can copy and paste. They are very important. Since it is in actuals, I'll ignore it here. Then columns, age is always in 2 digits, so I can take 2 columns, 2 column width, but I'll take 3. And it is, the measurement is called scale. As I told in one of the classes, I have explained that in software they merge interval scale and ratio scale into one category called scale, but nominal ordinal are on their own, they exist. So this is the way I'll prepare my variable view window. Now I'll ignore the remaining just for the sake of demonstration. I'm doing it, but I'll move on to part B of my questionnaire called conflict. So variable 12 onwards, variable 12 to variable 35 are my conflict items. So I'll just show you one item and then I'll conclude that because I've already prepared them for the sake of saving time. I've already prepared the full variable view window that I'm going to show you. So now let me just show one that's called V12. So V12, then I'll change the width of the variable to 3. I don't need decimals now. So what is V12? V12 is the item, first item under work conflict. You can also go back to your questionnaire and open it. You would know that in your questionnaire, draft questionnaire. So what is V12? This is V12. So I can copy that and paste it here. Now, what are the value labels? You would know that the value labels are strongly agree to strongly disagree. So now I'll start that. V1 is strongly disagree. Add V2 disagree. 3 neutral. V4 agree. V5 strongly agree. So that's it. Now this is the way I have to prepare for the remaining variables. For the sake of demonstration, I'm showing only few of them. And then this is an ordinal measurement, so I have to change the measurement here. That's it. So once I'm through, I can always save this file. Where do you want to save it? You decide. So I'm saving it in my folder called data analysis, PSPP folder, and I'll give the name called PSPP trial. So I'm saving it. That's it. My file is saved. Now I'm through with the variable view. Let's see how does it look in data view. So you can see by default the labels of the variables are created in data view. We can see V1, V2 and V12. So this is the way we will prepare the variable view. You have to complete with variable view window, conclude with all the codebook preparations. So whatever is there in your codebook, it has to be transferred into your variable view. And then once you are through with it, the data that you had collected from Google or the data that you had collected from the field manually has to be entered here in data view window, which is also called master sheet. Now how do we do that? Case 1 it refers to first respondent. What was the answer given by first respondent for variable 1? His occupation, let us say he is employed 1. And what is his age? His age could be 23. Then his response to first conflict item, he strongly agrees with the question. So 5. Now this is the way you have to enter. What about the second respondent? He is self-employed. Then what is his age? 29. Then does he agree? Probably. Yeah, he agrees with the statement. So this is the way we have to enter the data and save the file. Now I am closing this file and then show you the file which is already created. So I'm going back to my data analysis folder. This is the file. So here I have already created a file. So what I'll do, so I will go to file, open, backup. That's the file. That's called cs.sfv, which I have already created before. So now I'm opening it. That's it. It's already opened. Now this is how my complete variable view would look like. V12, it should be V50, right? See, V50 is the last variable, and the labels, the labels are already created for all of them. Of course, I have not entered the value labels. I've already shown you how to enter the value labels. For example, gender, one is male, two is female, and click OK. So that's the way you have to finish off. That's it. So what I will do, I'll stop here after saving this file, and in the next next session, I'm going to show you how to use this software for data analysis. I'll explain you these windows, and then I'll again show you how data view and variable view interact with each other. So I'll demonstrate in the next phase, next session, all these menus. I'll drop them, and I'll also explain each of those menus wherever they are necessary. So that's it. So I wish you all the best. In the meantime, install the software the way I have done it, and also download the Google form in CSV format, and then install ODF for opening the output. So for example, you can see already the output file is created like this. This is the third window. So in addition to the variable view window, data window, the third window is called the output window. So in output window, all the processes that you have initiated are saved. Not only that, it also saves your results, your statistical output, your graphs are also saved in this file. So once you have saved all of them here, you have to export that, export the output. Now you can see what are all the file types here. You can see here, you can export it into SPSS viewer, PDF file, HTML file, ODF, text file, plain text, PostScript, CSV. My advice is either you save it in ODF, ODT it is called, ODT format, or HTML format, because in PDF format you cannot edit it. In text format, the layouts will differ from software to software when you open it. PostScript is only for printing purpose, which is normally done in Photoshop software, so we don't need to worry about this. My advice is only take ODF, ODT. ODT files can be opened in MS Office version 16 onwards. So if you have 16 onwards, you don't have to worry about it. But always export all your output to ODT format. So that's it. I'll discontinue the topic here. So in the next recording, because of the time, I'm not going to show you the details because I want you to learn, saturate all of these things into your mind, get ready with the installation, and then in the next video, I'm going to show you how to use these menus, right? So that's it. All the best.